Okay, so we got deck lists. Wellington Ford's deck is not actually as red deck winsy as I would expect. It's kind of a mid-range deck. He's got Nykthos, he's got Chandra, Pyromaster, Hammer Perforos, other typical stuff, and Legion Loyalist, Burning Tremissary, Boros Reckoner, but he also has Stormbreath Dragon. So Wellington can actually play kind of a mid-rangey control-ish role in this matchup, since Ben's deck is going to be mostly bears, right?
For the most part, yeah, and it looks like it's a pretty standard aggro deck running what looks like a pretty solid devotion package. He's not running Nykthos, but he does have the full 4 set of Fnatic and Mogus, and he does have plenty of red mana in the cost, so it looks like that might be a primary option for him. On top of that, he doesn't have anything that goes above the 3 mana slot, which would explain the fairly low land count. And he is running a singleton Mutavault. I do know that a little bit of the argument against Mutavault lately is that because it doesn't tap for red mana, it can be a little bit slow in the hard red aggro decks.
Yeah. So, the Burning Tremissary draws, the Phoenix draws, Ashtail draws. Just can get a little awkward.
Yep.
Ben has been a big proponent of only one Mutavault for a while. I remember maybe 2 months ago or so, I told him he was crazy for only playing one Mutavault, but it's been working out for him online, and so far it's working out for him today.
Yep. So beyond that, one thing that I am noticing in Ben's list is he's running the 4 set of strikes and then 3 shocks, but no magma jets, which keeps his scry down, which in my experience is the scry certainly can help quite a bit in the red decks, but it's interesting to see. I guess that's probably a mana cost issue, and then also the only 2 damage for the 2 mana probably had something to do with that. He does have the option of Searing Blood, and also, but I also don't see that in his 75, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, Ben, he's been playing red decks for a long, long time, and he's just one of those guys that's just, likes his red decks the way he likes his red decks. And I've known Ben for maybe 10 years or so now, and he's a man that loves a shock.
So, let's see here.
So our match is now underway. Wellington's got a Boros Reckoner and an Astealet, and Ben has got a pretty lackluster draw so far, just a Burning Tremissary and the new Jackal Pup. I don't remember the name of that card.
Fire Drinker Satyr.
That's
and
right.
I was very interested to see when the Fire Drinker Satyr did get spoiled, because having kind of really come into my own playing Magic back in the Tempest block, loving the original Jackal Pup and seeing the original Sly list, it was something that was a welcome addition, if nothing else, back into the setup. And of course, having the mana sink for a red deck certainly is useful, because as they get into the late game, they have all this untapped mana. They can oftentimes end up spilling their entire hand out or using it very quickly, and then at least having something to do with that mana, even if it does have the life cost, is something to keep in mind.
Right. I'm not much of a red mage myself, but I assume that whenever you're killing your opponent with lightning strikes, your life total doesn't matter very much.
Yeah, well, the life total as a resource certainly does come into play. Very much so. Looks like we've got Wellington swinging into the other Reckoner here.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know what is in each player's hands. Ben can block here. Wellington can give it first strike, and then he can redirect it. Ben just elects to take the damage, and I expect Wellington to have some combat tricks here in the form of burn.
Yeah. Here, it looks like our life totals, we've got Ben at 13 and Wellington at 18.
All right, so Ben attacks with his Boros Reckoner, and Wellington Searing Blazes. I'm not sure if we're Searing Blood. I'm not sure if we're pre or post blocks. I believe we're post blocks. And Ben is attempting to redirect that damage to the Astealet. This is going to work in Ben's favor.
Yes, it is. Wellington walked into the 2 for 0 on that one.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, not being completely sure how that works. What's happening right now is Ben attacked with his Boros Reckoner, and I believe Wellington chose to block with his Astealet. And
it was after first strike damage.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Ben ends up taking. Cackler comes down, as well as another Reckoner.
Okay, so Ben redirected 2 damage to Wellington from the Boros Reckoner. and the Ass-Deal-It, from the Ass-Deal-It damage, and then the Searing Blaze, I guess.
The first strike damage got registered on the Reckoner. It was redirected back to the Ash Shell. The Searing Blaze, 2 damage, got sent back to Wellington, and then the 3 damage to Ben off of the Searing Blaze. The creature died this turn.
Okay, yeah, all those triggers line up. That makes sense.
It looks like swinging in with the Reckoner again. We have Ben taking.
Okay, yeah. So Ben takes another 3s, down to 7, and that's a big Fanatic.
That is a really big Fanatic.
It's going to be for 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Searing Blood there, which knocks it down to 6. Of course, dealing 3 to Ben.
I think this is probably going to be a tough one for Ben to pull out. With that Boris Dragon is going to be hard to deal with.
And then Wellington goes to 10 off the Resolve Mogus trigger. Of course, though, at 10, he is showing 5, 6, 7. He has 11 power on the board, which certainly does assist. Swinging in for 5.
Ben using the
making sure
the
that his opponent knows who's coming in.
Good old red zone encroachment.
Right, looks like Wellington takes the 5 and goes to 5. Ash Zealot. Alright, so coming in, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it is a lethal swing.
Ben maybe has a shock in his hand.
Which can take out the Ash Zealot, but unfortunately it doesn't do much to... Unfortunately for the way that Ben left his blockers up, if he blocks with the Reckoner basically has to remain unblocked here, so he's most likely going to take 3, because regardless of who he blocks with it, he's going to end up taking enough damage for it to be lethal here. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like Ben will concede on the attack. Alright. That was a big Fanatic, though.
Yeah, it was.
Hitting up to 8.
So we didn't really see it in that game, but I do think that Wellington is favored on deck because of having a little bit of a bigger game. Mm-hmm. Stormbreath Dragon, although we didn't see it in that game, obviously, that's a pretty serious magic card whenever you're trying to fight with Shock and Lightning Strike. And Hammer of Perforos, not that great in this matchup. I think he'll probably board him out. In the sideboard, we have Harnessed by Force, Spite of Mogus, Active Treason, Busy Mortars, Satyr Fire Dancer, and another Lightning Strike.
You can certainly see the harnesses coming in just because of the Reckoner battles. Being able to pull one Reckoner away from the defenses and then also have it on the offensive might be a game breaker also. I find it interesting that he's running 3 Harnessed by Force and then 2 Active Treason.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a lot of threat effects. And, in my experience playing Red Deck, the threat effect really is kind of your way of getting around something that is big and in the way. But I don't know if that really is something that Wellington's super concerned with here. Other than the Chandra's Phoenix, I don't think that Ben has much that he can do as far as throwing underneath the Stormbreath Dragon. Ben does have the Mizzy Mortars out of the board, but without seeing the Stormbreath Dragon, I don't know if they would come in here.
He does bring him in these mirrors just because of Boris Reckoner. I've talked to Ben about this before, and he likes to have mortars just to be able to shoot Reckoners down as soon as he can.
Take the floor and deal with it?
Yeah, just move on with your life. I think that Wellington probably looked to bring in Fire Dancers maybe, Mizzy Mortars of his own, a couple Harnessed by Force. It does make sense to be able to...
How much do you want to bet that Ben's going to bring in his Peak Eruptions in this matchup?
I think it's probably going to work out well for him. Yeah. Even though Peak Eruption is good in the red mirrors, obviously, that card's really there mostly for Chain of the Rocks.
Yeah.
I've watched him play Magic Online and watched him blow up Chain of the Rocks mountains many times.
Get his large
Fanatics
back and Fanatics back.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun whenever there's a Chain of the Rocks Fanatic and Mogus, and he just kills them with Peak Eruption plus the trigger.
Yeah. So one thing I'm noticing on Wellington's list is interesting. It only looks like he's running 20 lands despite running the 3 Stormbreaths. He does have the 2 Nykthos, which could give him kind of an explosive run-up. But for the
That
most
is
part,
dangerous,
it is
though.
a dangerously low land total with Ben running 21, but all mountains
Right.
with the one Mutavault. And it's also interesting seeing the 2 Hammer Perforos in the main with the 20 lands, because you tend to
That's true.
break your lands into the golem tokens with the
Nykthos
hammer.
really, I don't really even consider it a land with all these red mana symbols too. Like, it's kind of a dark ritual.
I can see that.
Like, it's gonna bump your mana up after you've already progressed your board some. It's gonna, push you forward a little bit, but whenever you're trying to cast spells like Hammer Perforos, Asteelite, Burning Emissary, Nykthos really isn't where you want to be in the first 3 to 4 turns of the game.
And especially because being in mono red, you don't have access to the early mana dorks and things like that can get you to where you can have an early Nykthos and still be able to activate it for a reasonable amount of mana.
Right, exactly. That was one thing about mono blue at the beginning of the season. Even though you had Nykthos and it was kind of awkward with the islands, you could still activate it and get mana out of it when you had just a couple creatures in play. But I would probably board out the hammers. I'm not sure if Perforos really does enough in this kind of matchup. And what about Satyr Fire Dancer? This is not really my kind of creature, but
The thing with the Satyr Fire Dancer is it does allow you to both remove and to burn also. And one of the difficult parts in playing the mono red deck is knowing when to burn to the dome, when to burn to the creature. And the Fire Dancer allows you to just go straight to the dome every time. It also turns anything that doesn't normally hit a creature into a removal spell, such as your Skullcracks and stuff, which of course wouldn't normally be in this matchup, but it is something
that is an interesting thing, though. If you have a big creature mirror like that, just being able to turn anything into removal while putting the clock on can really change things a lot for you.
Another fun aspect of that is the interaction with Satyr Fire Dancer and Searing Blood, and how you can remove a smaller creature, hit them for 3, trigger your Fire Dancer, and then remove something that's a 3-but or smaller again, so you kind of get the double removal and the burn at the same time. It gets a little bit more complex, and obviously you have to have the cards in hand, but it certainly is interesting, and knowing that Wellington has the Searing Bloods in the main, that certainly might be something that he's looking to capitalize on in game 2. We got a Legion Loyalist on round 1 here.
Alright, so Ben starts his turn 2 off with just a naked Burning Emissary. He's going to be taking damage from that Legion Loyalist and the Searing Blood.
So that'll be 4 more total, so it should put him down to 15.
Got to be a Boros Reckoner.
Reckoner,
Yeah.
yeah.
If there's no Reckoner, this probably should have been a mulligan.
Reckoner's just such a steadfast creature in the face of aggro. I mean,
Yeah, that Reckoner really rules these kind of mirrors.
alright, it looks like Wellington's going to take the 3, or is he going to...
I think I'm going to kill
zap
Legion
the
Loyalist.
Yeah, especially seeing that Wellington did... Okay, Wellington drops the land afterwards and throws down another Loyalist. And then, Loyalist is one of those cards that I don't know that I always agree with it coming down so early, means that it can be such a bomb. Yeah, the tokens can't block isn't super relevant in this matchup, but it is the first strike and the trample certainly can't get there.
Yeah, it is. I played a little bit of Block Constructed last season online, and Legion Loyalist was one of the all-stars of my deck. It was just a basic red-green Burning Tree deck, but playing Legion Loyalist on turn 4 or 5 after you have some creatures in play, and especially if you can get a Firefist Striker trigger too, it's just such a blowout, and I definitely agree.
And Wellington...
So it looks like we're just running back the same play.
Yeah, okay, yep. Just gonna watch a whole bunch of mountains tap and nobody have any permanents.
Looks like Wellington has a Mizium Mortars, and I couldn't see the other
That
cards.
is a Peak Eruption. Okay.
That is a pretty big game there.
Especially missing the land drop on Wellington's side. The getting set back again. Burning Tree into a Fire Dancer.
Wow.
Okay. Let me get the 3 off of the Peak Eruption.
All right, so it looks like Ben has a Lightning Strike, a Fanatic Amogus, and I can't tell.
Lightning Strike on the Fire Dancer. And I think that Ben probably recognized that the Fire Dancer just allows way too much removal and also...
Yeah, the
The
virtual
burn
card
aspect.
advantage you get from being able to get double the triggers. Oh yeah, 2 Lightning Strikes.
2 Lightning Strikes, so...
I think Ben should probably
Ben goes to 12 off of the attack with the Burning Tree Emissary.
It's like he's got a 2-drop here. If he doesn't have a 2-drop, I think he's got to just play that Fanatic.
Just to get some board presence. Oh, there's
Okay.
the Ash Zealot works.
Not sure if you attack, though.
I guess the question is, at 12 life, are you in immediate danger of losing the game next turn? Of course,
Wow.
then the Zealot gets zapped, so...
Yeah. Well, the problem that I saw was Wellington he's really been showing that he's willing to blow all of his burn very quickly,
Yes.
and he's just trying to make a path.
And we
So
have a Fanatic for 2, which knocks Wellington down to 15.
wow. More burn.
Every removal spell. And trademark of red players, they are both moving very quickly. Okay. Question here.
Alright, so definitely just attacking with that thing, and I assume that that's probably a mountain.
In Ben's hand?
Yeah, in Ben's hand.
And a Mutavault, which actually in this instance flooded a little bit. He's got the 5 mountains. The Mutavault seems like a pretty solid,
Yeah, that
Draw off the top.
Mutavault's not bad at all.
especially
Another
with
thing-
the leashed Cackler, so theoretically it's 2. Now, of course,
Yeah.
so we've seen every other burn spell in Wellington's deck so far
Yeah.
this game.
Yeah.
You got to wonder if he might have another one up his sleeve, but
I think if I'm Ben, I'm definitely going to trade here.
activate and trade. Nope.
Wow.
Oh, and
More.
Searing Blooded down to 5.
So I guess we're going to 3 unless we were allowed to block.
Yes, goes to 3.
Okay.
Then we have a Boros.
All right. Boros Reckoner actually can lock this board down unless there's
They
more
didn't.
burn.
Did not burn out the hammer, though, or bring out the hammer.
Is that another Reckoner? I'm not quite sure what that was. Boros Reckoner can do a lot, though.
Yes.
And that was a good draw as well. Ben can't really attack.
I think that the one issue, though, is that you don't want the Reckoner to die in this situation, mainly because you
Wow.
need it as a wall, so you're probably going to be first striking, which means you're not going to get the 2-for-1s until you feel that you're in the card advantage situation.
Yeah.
But-
All Wellington has to do now is attack. This game's over.
This game is done.
But he opts not to, so Ben gets another turn. All he needed to do was attack this Reckoner, and then the trigger would finish him off. But
Well, the key here is I believe he just drew a Chandra's Phoenix, which of course would leave the active Firefist Striker, and that puts him up to 7. He needs 4 more damage. I don't know that he has it available to him. If he has been sandbagging that one mountain, though, he might be able to play it a bit. And there was the Phoenix.
what Ben really needs here is a shock,
There you go. Can't block.
so he could block and then shock his Phoenix before the Boros Reckoner is dealt any damage. But
Yeah.
the way this is, I don't see Ben surviving this combat.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's the handshake.
Wellington on the 3 or stuck on 3 lands gets Peak Eruption. He keeps on the 2 mana, gets out of the hole with the Burning Tree Emissary. Of course, getting beat down with a bear long after its
Right.
ritual effect has gone away.
That game too really just showed how good removal is in creature mirrors. Whenever you have that much removal, you can clear away. It doesn't matter what you're attacking with. It can pretty much be any creature. You're gonna kill him eventually.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Wellington, moving on to 5-0 now.
Yes.
And I'll find out if we're gonna get another match under camera. But we're gonna take a quick little break while I find out about that. So we'll be back in just a minute.